kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
Take on Tech, a weekly program that brings you technological debates and concepts. Let us assume we have a young innovator who has come up with an app.
Financial technology and financial services is a very complex game.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news both locally and internationally. Apple has lost its position as the most valuable firm amid tech sellers. We also explore different innovations by our very own young innovators. Make sure you don't miss. Tune in every Monday at 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Right, tonight on The Living Legends, we get to watch the first of a two-part interview with a pioneering woman in Kenyan media. She worked at the BBC and later at the African Broadcasting Service, that is now KBC. She later became the first African to open a publicity firm. She's a prolific author, with her first book having been published in 1974. On The Living Legends tonight, pioneering broadcaster Muthoni Likimani speaks to Daniel Wahome.
Good day to you. My name is Daniel Wahome, and welcome to this edition of The Living Legends. Today's episode features a trailblazer in Kenya's media industry. She started off as a teacher before she eventually got into broadcasting. Think of programs like Shangazi na Watoto. She is the first African to own a publicity firm, and she has written so many books. Think of one that is about child trafficking and the pain that comes with it. In today's edition of The Living Legends, we speak to Grandma Muthoni Likimani. Welcome. And thank you for giving us your time on The Living Legends.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. So we'll go straight, and this is biographical. So you could just tell us about your early life, where you were born and growing up.
I was born at Mission, Kahuya Mission in Murang'a district. But I later on got married in Maasai land. Therefore, my home now is Maasai, but I'm brought up at Kahuya Mission, where I even was a teacher after I finished my education.
You know, having been born in the mid-1930s, and at that point, it was difficult for girls to get an education. So tell us how you got into school, getting into primary school, and eventually getting post-primary education.
First of all, I would like to let you know that previously, education was being run by missionaries, where my father was also a priest. And education, all the developed areas of Kenya, if you check, you'll find that it is missionaries who used to run education. And therefore, I grew up in a educational center of Kahuya Mission. And that's how I got into education early in the time.
You now leave the classroom and you are a teacher, and eventually you are now on the other, at the other end of the classroom. What were your teaching experiences?
Very good. I was even a training teachers at Kahuye Mission before I later on got into an age when I wanted to have a family. And I got married and I left the teaching side and I went to live in a place where my school was running a school. But even that, as a teacher, you are always a teacher. You will always find something to teach. I married a person, I met a husband from a Maasai community. There were no schools there, but even so, I will go and start teaching people wherever I am. And I was teaching there, not as an employee as such, but I was always running, educating people. Even at Ngong I was teaching, and in Kajiado I was teaching. You take me to Narok, which is also a Maasai, I'll find a place to go and work with the other women and teach them. So let me say, my life, full life, is educating.
A scholarship to go study in London, and this actually became part of your, what I would call became the foundation of your broadcasting career. Tell us about the London years, because it was just before independence and there was a lot of Pan-African conversations then.
I think many people fear to go for a challenge. I just saw in East Africa, the then East African Standard, advertisement of people being asked who would like to go and study overseas. But we were not independent. There was a colonial government. And then I just took my old papers, I applied, and I got excited to see a woman who is also wanting to go to Britain. There were few men, about 5-10. They started, colonialists started agreeing to educate Kenyans. So I applied, and later on I got a letter to go for an interview. I never forgot that interview. It was opposite Norfolk Hotel near your broadcasting place. I went there, and some rough women, Muzungu women, wondered who is this African women wanting to go to London. And the first question was, even you want to go to London? Yes. Why do you want to go? To learn more. I just knew what. She was very rude. I still never forget that. Why do you want to learn education? To have more knowledge and to learn education like you have. I too can do it. It was exactly outside Norfolk Hotel and opposite in National Theatre. There was a little glass there, and they looked and said, you better let this girl go. So I wasn't sure whether they are going to give me, but I was shocked that in a few days I got a letter. You have been accepted to go to London.
As you were studying, there were lots, there were many people from East Africa who were there, living in London, some studying, others involved in political work. You had a lot of meetings with them. What was the Pan-African scene then?
We were all interested with what is going on politically. But here I was, sent there under the colonialists, and therefore I was under them. They were the people who were feeding me. They would give me money. When I finished my money, I go to tell them I need some more money. So I dare not talk much about it. But inside me, I was political worse than some people they knew. During this time, I hope it's still there, and at one corner of London, because I was in a college in London, there was a big building called East Africa House, like a club, where Muzungus will go there. And there were no African women there going there, but there were people from Uganda, from Tanzania, Muzungus, who were working. And me, I'm now under colonialist, I also go there, particularly on Fridays, because you'll find books there, newspapers there. You'll hear much about politics in Africa there. The worst politics was from Kenya, with fighting for freedom. And I will go there, and I like to go there on Friday if I find it interesting, because I wasn't very far. I would come again on Saturday, sit there. I'll find a lot of people in Uganda, Tanzania, some Kenyans, but most of the Kenyan people were, the ladies in Kenya were doing nursing, and they were far from London. So I was one of the few, if any, around London. And there, I even met some very interesting people from Tanzania. One was studying law called Mr. Bomani, who later on became the Attorney General of Tanzania. This is long before we had independence. So I knew this man. And when we sit there, you want to speak in Kiswahili. I knew Kiswahili. We talk, and you feel you're at home. And they made me very happy, made me comfortable. And that's how I even became more interested in speaking and teaching, broadcasting. And then there were some few people at the BBC at the same time. One of them was I think Stephen Gikumu was there, Johnny Zau was there. There were people from Tanzania. And when they come, you want to show off Kiswahili, you will feel good, you feel at home. Talk politics in Kiswahili. And I became a buddy of this group who were coming to the East Africa House. Hope next time I go to Britain, I'll check whether that center is still there. And they're the people who made me know about BBC, because there were some Tanzanians also who are broadcasting at the BBC. And we speak in Kiswahili, showing off how much Swahili you know. And then they say, why don't you come and help us? We don't have any woman talking in Kiswahili at the BBC.
You were actually the pioneer Swahili broadcaster.
I think Kikumu was there, perhaps Johnny Zau, and people from Tanzania. But these people from Tanzania, the Bomanis and his brother Emmanuel, they were the ones who made people have a belief that I could speak Kiswahili. And then they said, come we try. So I said, but you know, I'm a full-time student at the Institute of Adult Education first. Then I went to take nutrition. So when I was there, I started going there, and they will interview me in Kiswahili. They found I can speak Kiswahili very well. And I learned how to speak Kiswahili well. And this is the time people were trying to get independent. Yes. Even the colonial, when the Commonwealth, when politicians were fighting at the government Muzungu offices, it is around this time they come, and when they come, they will come to East Africa House. When we are there, we all want to show off how much Swahili we do. Later on, they said, you must come and help us. So I started going there every weekend. I said, but don't let me miss my studies. I said, no, we can even record you on weekend and take your material. So that's how we started going there. Part-time broadcasting.
Part-time broadcasting.
Kiswahili. When people were at Lancaster conference, I was in London. And I will go there and later go in the evening to listen to what they have been fighting for. One good thing about the British, they don't care what you believe in. They don't bother about this politics and whatnot. Those who are there, they will say, they don't care. They will know you. They'll be happy. And I knew them. There was only one woman in this, among these people who were during this conference, called Priscilla Abwao. She was a lady from Western Kenya. And I used to go and talk to her, and we go to her hotel and we eat it together before they go to this fighting for freedom. So I was so close to her, and we go together and we speak in Kiswahili. We go to East Africa House. I knew the family of Bumanis. I knew the Mayajas of Uganda. I knew a lot of people in East Africa.
Now, there you are, you picked up with the BBC, you come back to Kenya and
Yes.
the Africa Broadcasting Service. Now, then VOK, now KBC. Tell us about that transition. It was 100% career change from teaching to broadcasting.
Yes, what happened is that when I came, I wasn't going to broadcasting. I'm doing adult education. Then after that, they started looking for me. Where is that a lady who was talking at the BBC? Where did she go? She came back to Kenya. So in fact, they came to look for me. And I started going there again on part-time basis. Then I became full-time. And when I was in England, I was very lucky. I'm under colonialist. And you get exposure to people of other African countries. I became very close to women from Ghana. I still remember them. From Ghana, they were my very good friends. We became close with the people from Caribbean. And then we had a gangest of black women. And in Kenya, I was a member of YWCA. When I went there, I continued taking part in YWCA. They had a big center in a place called Chest House. And I will go there. You can go there, you can eat there, you mix with the people from all over the world. And this broadens my outlook in life.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Programs you did there.
Yes.
Kipindi cha Kina Mama.
Yes.
Tell us about that program.
You see, after I was there, I did end broadcasting, and I'm already in adult education. Every time there is a conference run by the colonialist, whether it's with the Ghanaians or with the Caribbean or with who, I used to be sent a note to go. So I came to know a lot of women from other nations, mostly Caribbeans. I don't know why Ghanaians, we became very close. Even now we communicate with them. And then I found it very interesting, and I was a teacher before. So that's how I became that, and I widened my outlook in life. And when I came back to Kenya, what do you do in broadcasting? Just telling her to salamu and all this. That's nothing. You have to talk and educate. I've done nutrition course. I did a nutrition diploma. So I know about feeding, I know about health, I know about so many things which are related to women. And when I came back, as I used to hear my programs coming from BBC London, they started to look for me. Where is that girl, young lady who used to talk to us? What happened? Oh, she came back to Kenya, where they looked for me. I was already doing some work on nutrition and things like that. And that's how I started doing these programs. When I came to VUK, part-time first, they were not teaching anything for women. It's just a salamu and whatnot, na kusalimia nini. I said, you can't do this. These women want to learn how to take care of their children. Hygiene, nutrition, so many things. You tell them on the radio. So I started program for women, and I really liked it. There was the director was Richard Koskei at the time, and he was very keen about it. So I became a teacher, lecturer on the media.
Aha.
Yes.
Pioneering it is. Shangazi na watoto.
Shangazi, that's the one. Because I was doing both. I'll do women, I'll do children. Yes.
Some people may not know this, but I think just around that time, because we'd like to come into your tiny public relations.
Yes.
You acted as Idi Amin's wife.
Yeah.
What was it, acting with that huge guy,
I used to do so many things. I was brought up by missionaries. When I was in Britain, everywhere I told British, this colonialist and or there is something going on, they allow me. They even pay for the ticket to go to Scotland or anywhere. And I started interacting with the women of the world. And even Caribbeans, you find they knew so much. And I started being involved with this. And when I was studying in Britain, I was also going to do some programs at KBC, not KBC, BBC. Then I became more known than I knew myself. And the more that they got to me, the more I want to go closer to them. And when I came back, although I was doing the same thing, I found myself you can teach through broadcasting. You can talk about health, you can talk about nutrition, you can talk about child care, you can all sorts of things. And that's how I became like that.
Captivating interview, an absolute legend. That is the first part of the story of pioneering broadcaster Muthoni Likimani. The second and final part of the interview will run next Saturday, and we shall hear about her literary works and her role in the struggle for independence. And just to remind our viewers, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. we'll be having an exclusive joint interview with our Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua at his residence. Our reporter Nancy Okware will be representing KBC. Make sure you stay tuned. And that's all from our newsroom. I am Fayaz Qureshi. Have a good night.